Nebraska has a new coach and a new name. How would Instalock fare looking for that first win of the season? Strong season 4s, but which teams are struggling here in season 5? And why the contenders here playoff is the tightest it's ever been. It's all coming up on the OXC Breakdown.
Oh, let's break it. Hey!
All right, welcome everybody into the first episode, brand spanking new edition here. It is the OXC Breakdown show. I am Witty Calf, or Matt, as real humans call me, and I am joined today by the master of the overlays, the man that brings you the 100% fantastic quality production, the man, Mr. Ryan, a.k.a. Mr. Salt and Pepper. How are you, brother? Excited to begin this new adventure for us with you for this first show of OXC Breakdown.
I'm blushing, man. Those are some nice words, but happy to be here. I've obviously wanted to get the show going for a long time, so excited that we get to the first episode of it. And yeah, man, excited to jump into week 4. Obviously, starting the season a little bit late, but getting the show going nonetheless. Been a pretty good time. Yeah,
and it's very exciting times for us here. Obviously, if you've played or if you've watched us, we're in our 5th season already. Almost been around for 2 years as a community. And you're right, podcast or even a Twitch show like this has been in the talks for a while, but it just seemed like the last month or so we finally got the gears kicking, have enough people that were interested in it. And what we're aiming to do here is to give everyone, a recap of the week previous and also kind of a preview for the week ahead. Us being involved with schedules and, streaming and all that fun stuff. We know the first 2 days of the week are, a little slow for us. We're really like a Wednesday through Sunday type of community in terms of games getting played. So this is actually a fantastic opportunity for everyone who might not be able to watch all the games, might not have access to all the channels in our Discord server, to be able to catch up and stay on top of, where teams are at in the standings, who won, these big games of the week for the tiers, and just gives everyone an opportunity to stay in the know, as we'll also be breaking, important Overwatch news. We'll be breaking some things here for our community in general. And, normally it'll be more than just 2 people. We're aiming to have a couple other panelists on, but Sultan and I are here tonight to guide you through the flagship premiere episode and to get everyone excited for the weeks in the future. And we want to start talking about Overwatch news. Obviously, this is a Overwatch-centered show, so every once in a while, patch notes come out, and new heroes get released, all that fun stuff. So before we dive into the OXC portion and the OXC action, we can go through the changes in Overwatch. And recently, the patch that came out last Tuesday on September 11th introduced the new map of Busan. It's another, as I call them, King of the Hill map, or another control map. 3 maps based off of Diva and her feature that came out. And I've only played this map once. Sultan, I don't know if you have, and you can elaborate on your experience after I kind of introduce it. But my one playthrough, I absolutely love this map. They did a fantastic job. It's very aesthetically pleasing, like Overwatch does a fantastic job of that in general. However, I think all 3 of these maps kind of lead you to running different strategies, which is not something you see on a lot of these control point maps. I know a couple of them I was finding myself really playing Winston and getting great usage out of that. And, that I'm not sure which one it was. I believe it is the Mecha base, but I know Reinhardt on that just feels so comfortable. So a lot of different play styles that can go on in this particular map. Sultan, have you played it, and what are your thoughts on the new map?
Actually, I've not gotten a chance to play it yet. Just trying to get things ready for this show, and it only came out a little bit ago. But still, In just what I've seen so far in a lot of the promos and just videos I've seen, I like the way that the control point kind of changes shape a little bit, so to speak, with a lot of the barriers coming and going, and I think kind of adds another element. So yeah, I'm excited to play it, but yeah, I've not got a chance to get on there yet.
And obviously you're going to have time to play it. Hopefully, maybe it'll be a map in the playoffs like we did with Rialto in season 4.
Yeah.
So easy way to bring that in. Other than the new map, you have a couple hero updates, a small bug fixes here and there. But I know Ana got a little bit of a work with the biotic rifle, increase the precision of the relative aim sensitivity. I don't play Ana, but I know it seems like a lot of the Ana players that I do know seem to like this if they've taken the time and gone through and updated their settings on that. And other than that, another support hero that got a little bit of a rework or a little change was Brigitte with the shield bash. She now gets knocked down and now knocks down other charging targets. As a Reinhardt main, I'm happy to see this just because of countless times where I've gone in for that nice sneaky pin and had that girl freaking shield bash me from the side and make me cry. So this is a good little equalizer, as it is with other other characters charging at each other. Both Reinhardts fall down and get stunned. Reinhardt and a Doomfist, blah blah blah, depends on where you are and how that gets hit. So I think this is a necessary change they needed to make, because to me, Reinhardt's shield is 3 times the size of Bridges, and she can stun a massive human charging at her at full speed. So now it kind of balances that out and will make Rein mains everywhere do a little cheer a little bit. So to me, that was a very good change that they did. And speaking of Reinhardt, Earthshatter is now fixed. And this has made me a very happy man. I felt very confident playing him in this season 12 of competitive play. A lot of times Earthshatter, just the cone and how players got knocked with it or didn't get knocked with it, or where you were shattering to, where you located that. It was a very hit or miss. Now it's a lot more consistent. So that's a big thing. And any of these, last 3 that I've gone over, Sultan, interest you a little bit?
Well, I know, like you're saying with Ana, being able to fix the aim sensitivity, I feel like that's crucial for Ana when your precision's your entire kit, right? Either healing or getting damage in, you've got to be able to make that decision, but also be constantly accurate in order to maximize the healing. And, good Anas are the best at doing that, but I think that's pretty nice. Brigitte did feel a little bit a little too powerful with her shield bash, and I feel like the kind of tweaking a little bit and leveling the playing field, like you were saying, is nice. Reinhardt, I feel like I don't play a lot of Reinhardt, so I'll kind of default to you on that one. But
yeah.
I think travels up inclines and around the payload. I felt like I would be on top of payloads and some get shattered sometimes. So I don't know if that's really a tweak.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Even going against other Reinhardts when you're, just hopping on the payload here or there, and it gets you. To me, I never understood that. I remember old Earthshatter used to be able to knock Genjis out of a double jump, or a Pharah just starting to boost. Not really sure how that, all the inside details on how that registers and all that fun stuff. But I do know just up inclines and around walls, especially maps like Watchpoint Gibraltar, right before that second checkpoint, would be a great opportunity for Reinhardts to either slide around that backside on the right if you are defending and get that off, but kind of how the walls are indented would block some of those closer people from getting reached, and you'd be sitting there having your teammates yell at you for wasting your ult. So that, just makes it a little more smooth and a little more consistent, which is always good. Really the last one to touch on for updates for heroes and whatnot, a Widowmaker, grappling hook, whatever. I don't play a lot of Widow, and now she's able to get that good jump off of awkward walls. But Roadhog's scrap gun, they changed the primary fall off for the range from 10 to 20, now 15 to 30, but the alternate fire now has a damage fall off, which is actually the same as the primary fall off. So it looks like we decided to push his overall weapon's effective range out a bit further before damage fall off begins to take effect. That's good for Roadhog. He's, to me, in an odd state as a hero, really only very situational, and I don't play a lot of him, so I haven't really felt the impacts of these changes. But
I would say that Roadhog kind of maybe was more of a long range threat to some extent than he was supposed to be because of the alternate fire. I feel like you're able to hit people from range with it, but now kind of evening it out makes it more of like a short to mid range kind of tank. And I think it's somewhat limits the range of his effectiveness, but I think he's stronger in the area where he is effective.
Yeah, I actually think you put that in a great way. Now he can kind of fill his role a little bit better. There were times where you'd be sitting there 40 meters away, and he'd alt fire, and you'd still get some shrapnel damage going on. So just to sure up things like that overall, it, to me, is better for the heroes and everyone else running into it. Really, outside of the World Cup, which I know is still going on, and they're getting closer and closer to BlizzCon as teams are starting to qualify for BlizzCon. Overwatch is, as a pro or as a competitive pro scene right now, and a little, they're in the off season of Overwatch League, so not many big news. The breakings are happening. You have announcement of new teams, but that's something where in the weeks going forward, as we get closer to the season to starting, and as we get closer to BlizzCon, we'll definitely have more updates on the World Cup and Overwatch League in general. But so that really does it for our Overwatch news roundup. And now we can get in to the fun part where we start to go over OXC news, your Overwatch Xbox community news that we have for you. And really, I want to start off, Sultan. We have our 1v1 tournament coming up. Feel free to go to our website, www.oxcgaming.com. Fill out the entrance form that is located on the website. I suck at 1v1, so I'll tell everyone listening right now or watching right now, I will not be signing up for that. But I know over the last couple years, I'm not sure if you streamed the final last year or if that was someone else, but I know it came down between like Civ and Dirty Jockey, and that was just really fun to watch. You can get a lot of unique matchups in this and really see, how good you are at, DPS and winning these clutch 1v1 situations.
That being said, though, now I'm going to get eviscerated in the comment section if I'm wrong about this, but in the chat, obviously, you can let me know. But I think it was in the semifinals, Civ and Dirty Jockey, and Dirty Jockey beat Civ, and then in the finals was a tank main that beat Dirty Jockey. I could be wrong about that.
Yes, I think you are right about that.
Ended up winning the 1v1. It was insane. So, and yeah, I was there to stream that, but that was a year ago, and I've slept since then. So if I'm wrong, you can let me know, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But yeah, 1v1 tournament should be a good time. OXCgaming.com/1v1 or the link, I believe, towards the bottom of the website. Go and check that out. Should be a blast. Also coming up, guys, the trade deadline a week from today. It's the 24th. We give you 48 hours after the end of week 5 to pick up anybody, just to make sure you got your rosters full. Remember, you can have up to 12 players. So, if you've got some people that maybe have a hard time showing up, or you just need maybe a little more depth, make sure you're looking at the free agent channel. A lot of free agents out there looking for teams, and make sure you fill up for a good playoff push towards the end of the season. So the 24th of September is your last day to do an ad. So make sure you're aware of that. Other than that, guys, this week's maps: Volskaya, Nepal, Rialto. I know week 4 was a little tough with the a hybrid map, then a payload, then a 2CP, right? Assault map.
Yes.
We had those multiple rounds. There was a few. I think it was a Hanamura, and one of the games we're going to go over here in a little bit went into, I think, 6 rounds or something. So, those games can be a little bit long. So nice to have the Nepal in there to kind of nice little short game, then Rialto to close it out. So nice little set. I like all these maps, and yeah, should be a good time.
Should definitely Volskaya. Always unique watching how teams like to go about attack and defense on that map. Nepal, I love these control point maps. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I love Nepal in general. So always excited to see that. And Rialto, we've seen that played a couple times. I know it was one of our preseason maps this year. First time in the regular season with Rialto. This map actually plays really well. I've seen a lot of exciting games from us, even in the preseason on this map. Just it's different, so not everyone, and it's relatively new, so not everyone knows the ins and outs of the maps, like you do Dorado or Kings Row. So as teams are still trying to figure that out, and the play styles and how different that first point is compared to that third point. Plenty of potential for boops, so you might see a little burst in Orisa play and a little more Lucio play as well. So it should lead to some interesting games as we're after the halfway point here. Teams really need to start making that turn and push for the playoffs.
Yeah, and again with Rialto, I do like that map. I feel like it did kind of get bogged down a little bit, and to fix that, just going back to the patch notes, payload travel speed slightly increased. So I think that'll kind of help the game move a little bit more, and we'll see fewer first point holds on Rialto. So looking forward to that. Obviously, you play in solo queue or anything like that, or just a couple people, generally speaking, those holds come pretty regularly. Or rather, because there's no coordination, you're able to push a lot further. But I always find in community games, just in the games that we've seen, a lot of those first point holds, because of how difficult that first choke right after the bridge can be, and then just the payload boots. Everything just feels like it's so slow. The defense has time to come back in, and it really makes it difficult. So, especially with the coordination we have from a lot of our teams, can be tough. But I think that's about it for OXC news, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Some highlights for you guys. Carbon tier game right off the bat. We'll just have to feature is unacceptable and wasted potential. And this game was actually on the main channel, a lot of fun to cast, and unacceptable and waste potential both coming to this game undefeated, I believe. And yeah, really solid game all the way around. Waste potential actually loses the first game here on Nimbani and comes back in the second and third game to come get over the line and win it. So actually really impressive performance from them, and they stay undefeated at the top of the Carbon tier. But what did you know? Were you able to see this game? Were you watching this game at all?
Yes, I did watch this game. I like that Wasted Potential came out their first round on attack with the dive, and they kind of overwhelmed Unacceptable a little bit on that first push. End up capping the point. Unacceptable readjusts, makes the switch to Winston. And I want to give credit to Wasted Potential's Tracer. I believe that was, I forget. I know it's Nuka something.
Nuka-Lucka,
yeah, Nuka-Lucka. To me, he did a good job all throughout the entire map of Nobody on this round one of just being in the back lines of Unacceptable enough to where they had to stay back and couldn't really get that full setup and really get into a buckle down defense. And that's exactly what Tracer is supposed to do. And when you see play like that, for as much less Tracer as you do see across the board these days, even in comp, when you see a Tracer get into that back line, really force the pressure and just keep the tanks uneasy, keep the supports uneasy, that's when you know that you're doing the right job. And, for them to push it all the way back with 3:40 left in the time bank upon their completion, that was a great start for Wasted Potential.
Yeah, and now in a really good position. I think largely uncontested, they're going to be definitely one of the stronger teams here in the Carbon tier, and kind of really set a stamp there towards the middle of the season. I think we're going to release playoff positions here in the next week. So really good time to get on top and get that win. It was a really impressive win for them.
Yeah, they look good throughout. They've looked good in each and every game that they've played so far. And you're right, at this, going into week 5 now, you want to go into that second half of the season at like 2-2, 3-1. If you're undefeated, you've set yourself up great. And
Sure.
obviously, we've seen it each season. These map wins are important. So even in a loss here, unacceptable, getting that map point, that could be key for playoff seeding, going into the playoffs. So good point by them to get that map win, but wasted potential does look very strong, and I've been impressed with their play so far this season.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Some surprising losses as well. We'll get here to the to the standings, but yeah, kind of a bit of a shock, I think, from some of the teams that we kind of expect things to do a little bit better. But yeah, wasted potential there you see at the top, and that's a tie actually, 3-1. So they still are the only undefeated team, but right behind them, Munchies Juniors there at 3-1, just looking to chase only 2 points behind of map wins, and Munchies Juniors actually coming off of a win, I believe. That was against Buffalo Wings. A nice 3-0 victory there for them, kind of putting them in a good position. And like we mentioned at the beginning, Instalock, the old Veracity team, starting out the season 0-3, getting a new coach, new captain, I believe, just kind of changing up a little bit, changed their team name, and came out swinging. It's their team name here, absolutely shellacked in 3 games. And as a member of that team, it was mildly painful. So, not doing so great, but we started out the season pretty okay. Yeah, so still sitting there, it's your team name in 3rd place. But yeah, well, you're right. You said you want to be in one of those kind of middle positions there at 2-2 or so, and you can kind of push a little bit further, but in such a small tier, you only have so much leeway. So something to be conscientious of.
Definitely, and getting those map ones are huge. Look, if wasted potential 3-0's unacceptable, they're up a full 3 points over Munchies. So now Munchies, even though sitting there only 2 back, they definitely they're in that position to where if wasted potential gets a loss, if they keep winning 2-3 games a week and keep rolling, that one map loss that you get in one of those 2-1 wins could end up coming back to bite you.
Yeah, exactly right. So Carpentier, again, starting to heat up there. The game's been pretty fun, and I've enjoyed casting them. Again, that waste potential game with Unacceptable had the highlights for that. We've got the channel, the game on the mainstream if you want to go and check that out. But on to the Challenger tier. Tell me about, I think it was the DSE game, yeah? DSE Alacrity?
Yes, sir. This to me was a big show-up win for Drunken Shimada Clan. Okay. They've been in for a few seasons now, and they've always been a team that, you see talent there, but, they'd fall apart down the stretch and not be able to get that win, and, they'd be clinging on to the bottom of the playoff race. So when you see a team that's been here for about 3, 4, I think maybe even 5, they might have been in since season 1, or I think they came around season 2.
I think it was season 2.
To see that growth and that performance, for them to get a big win like this, and they're sitting here with a pretty decent record in the Challenger tier. A great performance. I watched this game back today, and I was just overall very impressed with how DSC ended up playing and beating a tough team in Alacrity.
Well, yeah, and actually, interesting thing about that, like you were saying, they have been in there for a while. Drunken Shimada Clan, 0-8 in Season 4. They had a really difficult time in this tier and couldn't really get anything going. A lot of 2-1 losses. And now to see them start this season 3-1, it's encouraging. Doing a really good job there in the Challenge tier. And, I mean, I've been impressed.
Yes. Yeah, just a fantastic turnaround. It's one of those things where, sure, you might struggle a bit here and there. You might go through a season where, you guys are just getting familiar. Your team is getting familiar with each other. Maybe a little execution's not there. And maybe you don't have the overall talent. But to me, I think in a season setting like this, where week in and week out you have a game, the more familiarity, the more enjoyable your playing experience with your team is, the more in the long run it can help you out. And to me, you're seeing it with a team like DSC, who is now definitely in a fight for a playoff berth. And I'm I am on a challenger tier team. So this was also a little bit of scouting for me, which was a little good to see.
Yeah, Drunken Schmatter Clan definitely a force to be reckoned with. But you look at that challenger tier table, and it starts to get a little tougher to see where the gap's going to come out. Inner Circle there, 4-0 at the top, and that's 3-0 wins with 12 map wins. They are 100% perfect on the season. So Drunken Schmatter Clan, with their strength, still a bit of a mountain to climb. With Chaotic also there, 3-1, 8 points. Void, kind of a mainstay in the community, they're 2-2. So I mean, challenger all the way down. I think it's going to be a contest straight through the season to see who's going to grab one of those top playoff spots when we do release those rankings. The other side, though, Talon Division, you've got PCOW and D9 both 4-0, starting up very strongly. PCOW sitting there also with 4 consecutive 3-0 wins, and very strong team. I think they actually play D9 this week in week 5, so definitely one that we'll definitely have broadcasted, and make sure you do not miss that. That's 2 undefeated teams, and somebody walks away with a loss, especially with the control point map, so no chance for a tie there. Obviously, unless they somebody ties that, it's not important, but anyway, for a good matchup between the two of them. But again, the Talon Division in Challenger is so tight, where you've got Rick Maru's Ramen, I think it's Revenge, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And DGBR, Dungle Break, and Reinhardt, one of the best names in the community, obviously. I think it's pretty clever. But both sitting there in good position. Sombra's tech support, kind of a surprise, with their 6-2 finish last season, coming out 1-2-1. So for a little bit of momentum going into week 5. What do you think?
I know we need it. Hopefully, we get our game scheduled this week and, put all of our pieces together. As Jay says, we suck. Thanks, Sultan. Challenger tier is a very tough tier. You're looking at, all right, Plat and Diamond on the SR scale may not be overly impressive to everyone that watches Overwatch out there, but we're all, outside of some new faces as PCAL D9 came in. A lot of these teams in this tier have been together for multiple seasons now. So we're all familiar with each other. We've all, had battles last season, the year before, and no game in this tier is easy. I know we went up against Paranoia Academy last week, and you look at their standings, they go into that game 0-3. They came out against us, played very aggressive. We're not afraid and didn't play like an 0-3 team. They come out, they win the first map. We go out and, we go out, lose the first map. We win map 2, and then, we have the tie at the end on Hanamura there. But all 3 of those games could have gone either way. We could have won the first one. We could have lost the second one. We could have won the third one, etc., stuff like that. So these challenger tier games, especially with teams that have been around a while, know each other very well, it's going to be down to week 8 where we're looking at who needs to win, how many map points do they need to get into the playoffs. Very exciting to watch all the tiers, but I know this tier especially down the stretch of the regular season for the playoff hunt is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and we've kind of talked about that a lot, where the challenger and contender tier is just so tight because, really you've got the bulk of the player pool in that kind of range, right? In the kind of gold to plat range. And so everybody, obviously that says something. You've got to be in the top 10%, I believe, to get into diamond. So, you start getting into rival and higher, the teams are less frequent, and obviously the margin of error is a little bit smaller. But here especially, I think you get really competitive games just because of the volume of players that we have. Obviously, you see we have really full divisions in both challenger and contender. So, just good to see. Speaking of contender,
good to see, and you're just going to see it all down the stretch, in both divisions and some interdivisional matchups in general. So these standings you're going to see a lot of fluctuation in both of these divisions, I think, when you're looking at them now compared to where we're looking at them going into week 8 and into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Moving on to the contender tier, really impressive win again for Phantom Thieves, moving up to 4-0 over Danny DeFito. And Danny DeFito, obviously, I guess DeFito, but spelled too. It's actually a very clever name, but I don't saying it out loud, I actually don't exactly know how to pronounce it. But really spectacular result for them here in week 4. I think we were just talking about how competitive these games are. And Phantom Thieves able to beat a very good Danny DeVito team that came up very strongly in Season 4, I believe. I think they joined late, correct?
I know Season 4, they were in Challenger and STS1 Challenger tier that year, but I know that playoff game with Danny DeVito was one of the single best games of Overwatch I've ever been a part of. So they're definitely a team, although I think their record right now might be 1-3. They're one of those teams where they've had a couple, maybe miscommunication, not executing properly on either side, either attack or defense. But they're a team, if they end up and finish 5-3, I would not be surprised at all. There's a lot of talent on that roster. But you touched on it, Sultan. The teams in Contender are really neck and neck to me. Those teams are just solid from top all the way down, from the first team in the tier to the last team in the tier. So in this tier especially, you really need your team to execute, keep their head in the game, and just try to collect map wins. I said it about Carbon. I said it about Challenger, especially in Contender. You might lose 2-1, but as long as you get that map win, if you put a couple wins together, you're going to be in that hunt in the for the postseason.
Yeah, and again, it is a little bit shocking. You're right, 1-3 in this season so far, and I really do believe they came in late and actually were able to make a late playoff push even after having joined the season late. So, yeah, we'll see if they turn it around here. And looking at the other standings, this is kind of why we were talking about how the Contender tier is so tight. You're looking at a tier with 5 teams that are 2-2 in the Horizon division. No single team with a losing record in Contender Horizon, and that's kind of mind-blowing to think about. Talent division, obviously 4 members with a losing record, but again, it's still very tight. Phantom Thieves and Dad and Lads kind of running away with it to some extent, but still a fight for one of those final playoff spots for the Talent side. But man, Horizon, who is going to come out on top of that one? Obviously, Multiverse, a team that we've seen in the past do well. Excalibur, maybe kind of atypically there at the bottom with just the 3 map wins, but actually, I feel like if they have 2 wins, they have to have at least. Oh no, I guess not necessarily if they.
Yeah,
you're right.
Looking at that now, I'll go double check. We'll probably have to correct, their map points, but I know they are 2-2. I think I just forgot how to do math for a second, so I apologize to the scales.
But I think, yeah, definitely a team that we've seen do well, so we'll kind of expect them to get back into the mix. And actually, the perfect segue to the rival tier. And I want to pull this up really quickly because we'll get into the Boosted Boys and the fall game here in a second. We have a few teams actually going into the rival tier from Contender and struggling a little bit. We've got Aspire and Mythical, both 0-3 after very, very strong performances in Season 4.
Yeah, and that's just what you get with it, and with that adjustment period going up a tier. You might add a couple new faces to help cement that jump up SR wise to the next tier. But I'm hoping that both of these teams, still with a great opportunity to turn their seasons around, but I hope those are teams where when we go into season 6 and in seasons in the future, you keep that core together. You get used to how your tiers games kind of play out, and then you're able to make that gradual improvement up and up and up the ladder into the top of the standings.
Yeah, and obviously the game we're going to bring to you, a Fallen Boosted Boys, we've said that, but a much tighter game than I think the scoreline would have you believe. I think Boosted Boys kind of took them to task, but in the end it was a fall 3-0 win, but what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. Just execution when it comes down to final fights, and sometimes when it comes down to overtime situations or late in a game when you get close to reaching that checkpoint or capping the point in general, you need a couple picks to go your way. It really, when you get to overtime, it becomes a, Overwatch for being such a team-based, synergetic game. Really, in these overtime situations, it's all about who can make that play and get that big pick, or who can cause enough disruption to force a team off the point, which you see right here on Numbani down the stretch, as you see Reinhardt get a nice big pin there, and even with Shatter and stuff like that. That's where those maps can go either way, but if you get that big pick, you get that, boost, that knock off the point, that's really where it makes a difference, and that's the difference between a 2-1 win, a 3-0 win, and, games like that come right down to the wire.
Yeah, this one actually was one that went into kind of extra rounds. Both teams able to cap the point in that first go, and then I think Befall, their team focus. We'll see it in the next clip here on Watchpoint Gibraltar. Their team fire and just their aggression on attack just won them a lot of fights. I think they'll be the defending team, but coming through here, they tended to be in really solid defense. They waited until the last possible second to contest this payload, came in with the Dragon Blade, were able to get 2 quick picks on the supports, and then just cleaning up a really good team effort. I think they only need to invest the 2 ults with the Valkyrie up, but they were able to staving off Boosted Boys here, and then on their subsequent attack here in overtime, the res coming through onto, that's the Roadhog, is able to get a kill, and then the hook right here, just to kind of finish it off for them. Really solid performance. Few straggling members try and come in, but it just wasn't going to be enough, and Befall ended up taking a watch point as well. And again, the Hanamura game is the one that I was talking about. The Boosted Boys came out and did a really good job, but weren't quite able to get over the line. This is kind of the aggression I was talking about, though, with Befall just diving after into that room and just eliminating as many members as possible, allowing the payload just to creep in behind them, and then it's kind of a foregone conclusion that they will cap the point, but a few straggling members maybe, but the Doomfist completely knocked out there, and they get the cap. So I think Boosted Boys put up a really good fights, and we saw extended rounds in a lot of these games, but it just wasn't quite enough to get them over the line. This, though, spectacular play, using the Symmetra turret, getting the Bastion up to the high ground, just started melting people, and then used an ultimate just to finish the job there. And Befall using some unique strats to take down Boosted Boys. This was actually in the 6th round there, looking for their 6 points. But really impressive from Befall. Definitely a team
so impressive to see stuff like that. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, just a really solid team focus and team fire. Definitely a team to watch out for in the rival tier, because they've been pretty solid.
Yeah, and you're really looking for a team in the Europe division, aka Talon, for rival to, kind of make that claim, like we're the team to beat in the tier. Pause Rising with 8 map points, which is big. Befall now with 6, but even Boosted Boys and Uncia are there with 4 and 3 map points. So they're all still kind of there, although, the bottom 2 teams are 2 games back. But to me, I'm looking for either Befall or Apollo's Rising to really put their foot down on the rest of this division and make it their own. And I'm just interested to see which team out of really those 2 especially will be the team to do that.
Yeah, definitely an exciting game when it gets kind of out that direction. But you're right. The NA side, you've got the top 6 teams there with winning records. It kind of falls off there too a little bit. The Trash Can's kind of still in the mix, and losing a tight game against Shimada Armada. It was a 2-1 win for them that put Shimada up there in the 2nd spot with 9 map wins and looking very solid. Actually, beating Kinetics on map wins, but Kinetics
not tasting that loss yet. And Shimada Armada versus Trash Cans was the only rival North American division game to take place this past week due to Hurricane Florence. So with those games that were postponed, 90% of the division only has 3 games played so far. So that's something where, if Kinetics somehow gets 3-0'd or they lose and only get a map win, that's, be right. Shimada Armada will be right there up top of the division with them. And Pride Stark has a chance, if they 3-0, to make it that a possible 3-way tie at the top of the standings. So these postponed games, especially in this tier, they're going to be interesting to watch to see how exactly they play out and where these standings end up figuring out going into after this week and the following week.
Yeah, and a couple interesting things too. We've got Aspire coming in, and like I said, in a difficult spot, 0-3 after they were promoted 7-1. Very, very strong team and contender last season. Maybe proving or seeing rivals proving to be a little bit more difficult. Hopefully, they kind of get their feet under them and get some wins. Because definitely a good team, and I'd like to see them do well. It's kind of the same thing with Mythical, 5-2-1 in season 4 in the contender tier, 0-3 start. So those two promoted teams kind of looking for a little bit of a foothold in a very difficult tier. And, it'll be interesting to see how well they do. Kinetics is staying in the rival tier, starting out 3-0 after a 2-6 finish in Season 4. Impressive from them as well to start out really strongly here, and hopefully they're able to maintain that momentum. But yeah, I think rival tier is definitely heating up. You see North American sides there. Hopefully with those games played should shake up the standings pretty considerably.
Oh yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see, how these games kind of score out, and if some of these teams at the bottom can get their footing and make that push, as we touched on multiple times here. Halfway through now, you're really looking to find your footing, and now you can turn that around and make that push. Even these teams with 2 losses, 3 losses, there's still a chance. To where if you turn it around and get your team gelling at the right time, make that push, get those wins, keep stacking up those map wins, and at the end of the year, find yourself in that going into week 8 with the chance of getting in. That's all you can ask for.
Yep, absolutely. Onto the champion tier. Bogarts having a difficult time going up against, I believe it was Buffalo Banditos, and still looking for, I believe, their first win of the season. And the champion tier, always exciting. Obviously, really exciting games, but we don't get to see too many of them. So it's nice when we do get these games played. But I don't know if the Bogarts came into the season late, though. Correct? Am I wrong about that?
Yes, this was actually their first game.
Whoever's writing these titles. But yeah, just so they're probably not indicative. Of those champion tier standings, but yeah, probably not indicative of their actual ability. Hopefully they're able to get the win, but they are up against Buffalo Banditos, one of the 4-0 teams there with Prometheus. So we'll see if the other shoe drops for either one of those teams. They actually have an opportunity. Both of them have an opportunity to go 5-0 as they play. Let's see, Pink Sox, right?
This week, let me just bring that up real quick. We have Buffalo Banditos versus Pink Sox and Prometheus versus Bogarts.
Yeah, I think Mega Munchies isn't in anymore, correct? So just assume
yes,
that says Pink Sox. I believe Pink Sox is taking over that team, right?
Yes.
Quality production here. But yeah, so Prometheus and Buffalo Banditos look to keep their records perfect going in, and the third team in the community with a completely undefeated record, 3-0, have not lost a single map. Prometheus there at the top, so it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch going forward. Potential Disaster is always a dangerous team. Buffalo has looked great so far, obviously with that 4-0 record. Prometheus, though, to me is the team that's kind of, I don't want to say set themselves apart from the rest of the champion tier, but if you're a champion team and beating other champion teams 3-0, your team is gelling and executing almost perfectly. So that's definitely a team going forward. To me, that's kind of set themselves apart a little bit. But, you have, as I said, Banditos, Disaster, even, Bogarts, we're going to see what they kind of do. If they have a chance this week to really get their team name out there, if they go out and hand Prometheus their first loss, or even if they get a map win against this team, that would actually be I know moral victories don't like to say they count in sports, but that would definitely be a moral victory going forward to kind of put a little chink in the armor of Prometheus.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's about it for all the recaps and things. Obviously, you've got the slider over there, so you can check out the other results from those games. And obviously, a lot of those rival tier games postponed. But yeah, honestly, pretty solid. We actually let's see. I'm gonna go into all the top plays from week 4. We've got couple of fantastic submissions. Excited about this. And again, guys, if you want to get yourself on the top plays, we need clips, clip submissions. We've got the link in the Discord. You can get access to that. I don't know. Just post the link to your Twitch clip. We'll sort them, get you in these top plays. Not necessarily a top 10 this time. It's just a top 7. But hopefully we've got some more submissions for this next week. It's a lot of fun to try and sort through these. And got some pretty exciting plays.
And I have not seen any of these yet, so I'm actually really excited for it.
Ooh, you're in for a treat. Rook getting resurrected here towards the end. It's potential and unacceptable game. Doing a fantastic job, just coming behind. And you like see the solid sim play. I think that was play of the game in that game. BT Dubs here. There's a couple of Diva bombs in this list, but this one definitely worth it. The BT Dubs bomb over the top aerial. Just waiting for that pharmacy combo. Nobody sees it coming, and boo! Oh look, it's a 3-1 coming right over the top. Options here again. Like I said, a lot of Diva bombs off this. The first of 2 clips on this kind of segment, I guess. Another bomb over the top, in from behind. Surprise at the 4-man.
Oh wow, 4 piece.
And let's use this 4th clip. This was fascinating. It's kind of difficult to see the.
As low skill as you want to take
use attack Symmetra to get the teleporter around the back.
Attack Symmetra coming out now.
They only need
a little bit interesting, and they're going to use that teleporter pretty effectively here to just.
Oh, that's just 900 IQ play right there. Wow, that's fantastic.
Down almost immediately.
Nobody realized they had to cap the point.
So fast.
I've had that happen one time in comp, and it worked out exactly like that. And I didn't trust the Symmetra when he said he was going to do that, and it was going to work. It worked right there, and it worked in this. It's just a thing that you play Hanamura, you don't expect to see that. So fantastic work right there to take them
speed of 9,000 IQ plays though, and Drunken Shimada Clan using the grab to keep them on the high.
Oh, this was
sit
amazing.
Up there, stay up there.
I watched this at work and just I popped so hard, and just that's a perfect way to end a game right there. Fantastic work.
We have a Torb for the number 1 play. Honestly, guys, though, just doing just fine back here. Genji flank, not a problem.
I just one-shot Genji.
Absolutely dirty.
Look how lethal Torb can be when played properly.
Right? It's fantastic. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Okay, those are fantastic. We more people. Record a nice clip during your game this week. Send it to us. We want to get a top 10 going. Quality stuff like that going around. We only had like 6 or 7 for you here today. Get more in. I'd love for us to have to sit through and go, which 10 are we going to pick?
Right? Yeah, we need to make it difficult. Difficult decisions here.
Maybe if Swift could play and give us some of that Buku Moira play that he likes to bust out every once in a while.
It's real-time title updates here. Yeah, so clip submissions, guys. We're looking for them. It should be a lot of fun. Excited for that. And if you like the clips, you think they should be in a different order, you can let us know. But I don't know. I thought the Torb play definitely deserved a top spot.
Definitely. For all the low-key hate that Torb gets in the majority of the Overwatch community, and that was just laid out perfectly executed, and seeing a Torb go off like that, always fun to see, especially in one of those pirate skins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, is that what? Do we have anything else to cover? Is that it?
We have touched on everything we laid out.
Wow. On schedule, under budget.
Look at that. That's how you get it done, folks. Obviously, this was first week of the show, the first edition. Talk about the Insane Buffalo game this week. I love Twitch chat. It's always fun to get involved with that. Buffalo Banditos, the team that has their own merch, as they will let you know in the Discord channel, has a nice game this week. Hopefully they can get it scheduled and get it on the stream. So we'll see about that. But Sultan, it was incredibly fun to debut this show with you tonight. Looking forward to all of our upcoming episodes, and I'm very glad we actually got the wheels in motion in this and with this and started making this a reality. You're going to see more quality content. Get your plays submitted. Make sure try to get your game streamed. Put those stream requests in. That way, everyone can have access to watch your games, and you can recap them and go over them along with us. We're only in week 5. Make that playoff push. Teams, get your games scheduled. I hate giving teams losses for unscheduled games.
Too true.
And we will be here to break all the news for you in regards to our seasons and Overwatch news going forward. And I can speak for Sultan here. I appreciate every one of you watching us tonight for our first and debut episode of OXC Breakdown.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Again, if you are subscribed to the channel, please do so. You get a free subscription with your Amazon Prime. Switch Prime, they give you a free one. Toss it our way. We do appreciate all the current subscribers. If you want to donate to the community at all, you can do that on the website or in the link below. We love bringing you guys this content, and we appreciate everybody in the community that volunteers and supports. You guys are doing a great job, and it's just a lot of fun to be a part of, honestly. A lot of good stuff.
You're right about that. A lot of fun to be a part of. If you donate, I will send you a handwritten letter of appreciation. So feel free to get those in now and be graced with a lovely letter from yours truly. Obviously, this will be up on our Twitch page for future watch. If you were unable to watch us live tonight, and you know what? Looking forward to next week. Looking forward maybe having another panelist or two on here with us.
Yeah.
I think Sultan and we handled it pretty well tonight for our first run, and we love all of you. Good luck for week 5. We'll be back next week to recap it all and set you up for week 6. For Mr. Sultan, the man, the myth, the legend of all of our beautiful overlays, I am Matt, a.k.a. Witty Calf. We will talk to you next week, and stay tuned for all your fun, exciting Overwatch action heading out through the remainder of this week. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good night.
Later, guys.